Welcome to this guide on social media comments. I'm Hel Reynolds and I'm going to spend a bit of time with you today to help you really understand the power of the comment section underneath your posts. I'm Hel and I run Comms Creatives with my sister, Leslie. And Leslie has a teaching background and I have the corporate comms background. And we do online courses for people who communicate for a living. So here's an example of the kind of organisations that we work with. We've got BBC Studios in our academy. We've got lots of lovely councils and housing associations and lots of charities, but also the kind of brands that might be more recognisable, the retail brands, all sorts of people. We love helping people who work to communicate on social media for a living, to unlock that creativity that's inside them. Sometimes we can lose our mojo, and especially when people are flinging work at you and life is stressful, it's not always that easy to just really enjoy everything that you're doing and get that sense of creating content that dazzles your audience and makes them love you. And that's what we're all about. We love to help people find that confidence and inspiration that they need. So here's an example of some of the lovely people who come on our courses. We love seeing selfies of people watching our courses. And on that topic, if you would like to take a selfie with the screen today and share it on social media, we'd love to see who's watching and have a look at your beautiful faces. Just to give you a quick example of the kind of stuff that we do at Comms Creatives, we've got loads of great stuff coming up soon. We've got a social media analytics course. We've got the Engaging Content Bootcamp, which is really about taking time to really spend time with other professionals, get some inspiration and actually create some content together. We've got a podcasting course. We've got a TikTok crash course coming up in September, which has been incredibly popular. We ran one last month and we've got another one coming up. We also do these interesting things for our members. So if you join the Comms Academy, then you get access to all of our courses, and we have these creative experiences. So you can join on Zoom and meet our lovely person who lives in Australia, who runs a llama farm, and she used to work for Disney, and she teaches us how to draw a little cartoon of a llama. We've got some mindful doodling. We've got all sorts of really fun experiences in there as well. So if you're interested, come and join us. But let's get to it. We're going to talk about comments. And I actually think, even though a lot of the time we get really excited about content strategy and what we need to talk about, comments are the forgotten part of social media, and they're really important. What we can think about when we talk about engagement on social media is getting likes. You know, it's just about kind of feeling the approval of your audience. And I don't know if you've ever worked with clients or bosses where when they say they want engagement, what they mean is they want people to say they love them. Oh, I really like that. I like you. But engagement isn't just about getting approval. It's about having conversations. It's about a much more meaningful relationship building with your audience that actually has a lot more value than just the odd like here and there. There's loads of reasons why comments are misunderstood, but it's really important to remember that comments power boost your audience growth with community building, because if people talk to you on a regular basis and they have productive conversations, they are much more likely to see all of your content. They're much more likely to care about what you're doing and be an advocate as well. And the thing about comments is it's about building relationships with your audience, and it is a two-way communication. How many relationships have you got where only one person speaks? Hopefully not many. And if you have got many of those relationships where only one person does the talking, I suggest you try and balance that out a little bit. So there are loads of reasons why comments matter, but here for me are the top three. One, reputation. If you are a brand or you're working as an individual, maybe you're a comms freelancer, a social media freelancer, it doesn't really matter whether you're a brand or a personal brand. being distant isn't necessarily a fantastic way to be on social media, because I don't know if you've noticed, it's got the word social in it. So being approachable is a really important part of your reputation. Do you want people to feel like they can have a conversation with you? I've done this before. So I've worked with so many brands over the years. And back in the day, I worked for a council, and I loved it when people said, oh, wow, I didn't expect a council to talk to me. I love this because I thought, yeah, because I need you to know that it's full of humans, people who care about you out there. You want your audience to think that you care about them. So it's great for your reputation to see comments as an opportunity to have a conversation. The second one is research. There is no better way to create incredible content than understanding your audience better. And you can use comments to really probe your audience, to ask them more questions about themselves, to really understand the problems that they have, the things that annoy them, the ways that they like to engage with brands on social media. You know, it's such a lost opportunity if you don't use it to research and get to understand and know your audience a little bit better. And the third one, reach. Algorithms love comments. If you put a piece of content out on behalf of your brand and you spray and pray and move on, it's not going to give you the reach that you need. So whenever you post to social media, the algorithms are making some decisions about how many people are going to see that piece of content. And if you get a lot of comments in underneath that post, you're going to get a huge reward in lots of different ways. Algorithms favor comments and conversation. So if you put a post out, as I say, you're going to improve your reach. More people will see your post if more people comment on the post. That's just the way it's worked. Just worked like this for a long time. But also, when people comment on your brand's post, the next time that you post something, that person's more likely to see your content. So by thinking about commenting as a strategy, not just this awkward thing that you've got to do that you didn't make time for, you're going to see a boost in engagement, but also you're going to see this huge increase in the amount of people who actually, first of all, have an opportunity to see your content. It's so important. Not making time to engage is like dressing up for a night out, thinking, yeah, I'm going to go out, I'm going to meet great people and, you know, show the world who I am, and then ignoring everybody who you meet. This is all about you remembering that if you want your content to perform better, you've got to put some effort into the two-way parts of conversation, approaching people and asking them how they feel about the world, the topic that's of interest to you, rather than waiting for them to come to you. And when they do come to you, actually making that conversation continue, asking follow-up questions. It seems obvious, doesn't it? But that part, social media, the social in social media, often gets forgotten. We see it as this broadcast medium, but it's not, it's social. So this session today comes from the fact that I've had this little flowchart on our website on commscreatives.com for years, like maybe 8 years it's been there. It's our most downloaded thing ever. And I think it's just because a lot of the time people need confidence in what to say when people say awkward things to them on social media. The most frequently asked question we get is, how do you deal with negative comments? And I kind of wish people would ask the question more about should we deal with positive comments, because both of them are valuable and both of them really need to be nurtured. And if somebody takes the time to actually respond to something that you're doing on social media for your brand, I think the least you can do is try to turn that into a conversation and hopefully create yourself a new fan. So on this flowchart, I thought about all of the kind of comments that we tend to get when I was working in the brand that I was working for at the time. And ever since then, I've worked with so many different brands, and you can kind of categorize it into 5-ish buckets. The first one I'm going to talk about is kind of the one that everyone worries about. It's the attack. So your organization is corrupt, wrong, and I detest you. Every decision you make is moronic. It's the kind of vexatious one where someone's got a pre-existing idea of what they think of your brand or what you do, and they just kind of want to express their hatred for you. It can be done in really subtle, small ways, or it can be like a full-on attack. Then the second category, which is different, is a complaint. The reason it's different is this person has got a very specific issue with the service that they might have received from your organization, or something that you're doing. They have interacted with you and they're not happy with that interaction. So something like the reception who dealt with me was rude and I expected better from you, or I haven't received this product, why are you so idiotic, or whatever. There might be a little kind of dig in there, there might be an insult in there, but there's a nugget of something that actually needs to be dealt with by your brand. That fits into the bucket of complaint. Then you got the straight up query. Just I want to know about this, regardless of why this person wants to know. They've just got a question that they need you to answer. That is a query. Then our favorite bit, makes you feel brilliant as a communicator, the compliment. I don't need to explain this to you. It's when people say nice things about you. Wow, I had the most brilliant time at one of your events. Well done to the organisers. The one that gets left out, that is a real hotspot for growing an audience, is chat. When people leave you a comment and open up the opportunity for you to have a chat with them. Look, I made an origami swan from a leaflet I picked up at one of your offices. This is a good example of someone who's just having a little playful conversation with you, and it would be looking a gift horse in the mouth to just go back and say, thanks, that's nice. When you could ask them another question, or you can really make more of it. So this is the kind of types of comments that you'll get on social media. But I'm going to have a look first of all at the less negative ones, and let's have a little think about how you deal with these comments. So often your favorite brands are really funny. Whenever I talk to people and I ask them, you know, who do you love on social media? Who's your inspiration? No matter what brand they work for, and no matter how they do things, often they'll mention people like Innocent on Twitter or Ryanair on TikTok, or maybe Rob Mayhew on LinkedIn. Often the people that the brands that people tell me they love are usually quite funny, quite fun at least. And the great thing about the really great brands like Innocent is, yeah, they're funny, but they're also chatty. They don't take for granted when someone talks to them. They actually begin conversations and know how much value that gives that person following them on social media. They know how well they are regarded because they got a comment. So this is an example of Innocent. And just looking in the comments of, you know, one of Innocent's standard tweets that's quite funny, and you can see that the brand Marmite has replied to Innocent, and they say January is like Marmite, and then Innocent come back and they say it shouldn't be used as a cake filling. So a little fun back, and then Marmite come back and they share a picture of a cake with Marmite on it. Then a normal member of the public comes in, but should Marmite become an Innocent smoothie? And then Marmite come back, fruity. And there's all this stuff, conversations happening between people who weren't talking to each other before today. Someone else replies to this tweet, sad, our emotion exactly. What I want you to see here is that Innocent aren't great because they're witty. Innocent are really giving that witty content an incredible chance to perform by making it a community conversation, by replying to those comments, by probably putting more time into the comments than they do into the actual tweet in the first place. This is a really nice example of a positive comment as well. And you'll see a lot of Twitter examples in here because Twitter's like the really easy one to find content from. Yeah, great search function. But this is from Starbucks. And if someone says something nice about Starbucks and you get a little notification to say, sometimes when I get bored, I go to Starbucks and hear all the nice compliments, blah, 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 right? So someone's talking about a text that his sister sent him. Starbucks coffee, take the opportunity to share that tweet and put a little encouraging comment on there. Please tell your sister she's the best. It's just a lovely way to make people feel good about themselves. Does it cost you anything? Do you need a big campaign plan to just be nice to people, to give them compliments, to put little green hearts on to go with your green logo? It's completely on brand. It's being nice to your customers. Why not? I want you to think about every time you're posting to social media, whenever you get a comment, try to turn a transaction or just a passing comment into a conversation. It's well worth it. Remember all those benefits. You get more reach, you get more trust, your reputation's better. And next time you post, you're going to have a bigger audience. This is a really nice example that I worked on a while back now, like years ago, I think. These past few years have gone by so quickly, I forget when it was, but I was in person with Pembrokeshire County Council and they were asking about promoting their new school menu in the schools that they run. And really it was kind of a way of, well, yeah, we could just put the menu out, but actually can we get people having conversations going about the school meals? So instead of just saying, here's our school menu, they went for a bit of a nostalgia post, getting the parents who look after these kids to think about the school meals that they remember from their childhood. What are your clearest memories? Perfectly designed to actually get people commenting to them, because as a council, they've got really important information to share. So if you don't occasionally put posts up that get people chatting, you're not going to get the reach that you need. You need to design content that gets people talking to you. So here's an example of how great Pembrokeshire County Council are in actually having conversations in the comments. A woman called Margaret comes in and says her son won't eat the school dinner now, but if the school dinners were like when she was in school, he would eat them. And they don't get defensive. Pembrokeshire County Council say, that's really interesting, Margaret. What do you think he would have liked best from the dinners that you used to have? And then they start a conversation. Now, this is really social. When you're talking to someone, if you want them to like you, if you want to make that conversation feel less awkward, ask them about themselves. You know this. If you've ever been on a date, the best people are the ones that ask you about yourself. They don't just waffle on about what they do and what they like. They want to hear about you. So this is the way you do it on social media. Claire says she likes chocolate cake with white custard. Terry says something about how he was sick on the way home after having custard. And Pembrokeshire County Council come back in and all they say is, oh dear, Terry. And then someone else sees that and says, lol. So already you're just seeing like, yes, some things don't really need commenting on, but they should be commented on if you can, because it's polite and it helps people to keep that conversation alive and join in. That's such a good idea, Alexia. We're going to make sure this is passed on to our catering team. Again, you want to just keep it as light and really friendly as you possibly can. The most charming people ask the people that they know and they meet about themselves. Here are some examples that you can use. When you get neutral or positive comments, so when someone's just asking you a query, a normal question, when they're complimenting you or when they're just kind of giving you a chatty little thing, you can continue the conversation by saying, got any tips on this topic? Or what are you up to for the rest of the day? Or what was your favourite part of the thing that we've just talked about? Or how did you do it, the thing that we've just talked about? What's the best thing about this thing that we've just talked about? Continue the conversation with those kind of questions about this person's opinions and experiences, and they will love you forever. there's so many opportunities. I want you to really think about this as less of a massive pain in the arse where, oh yeah, now I'm going to have to answer comments as well as create blooming content. See it as an opportunity for you to start enjoying your work again. You can use this opportunity to cheer someone up by saying something nice to them. Turn someone who's maybe raging a little bit into a fan, someone who's really annoyed and then maybe they're talking to you about that, and just turn them into someone who loves your brand. Maybe you can discover something that someone has told you in the comments, and you can use that as user-generated content. You can actually use it to inform your content strategy. You can share it, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. It might have some gold in there. You can certainly use it to warm up your leads. So if people are talking to you, they might well be just the kind of people you should be talking to. And a conversation can turn them from mildly interested into extremely ready to work with you. And the more you chat in the comments, the more you tempt new people to come and join that chat, because it's much less intimidating when you can see a lot of comments going on in a social media post for you to join it than if it's, you know, just a little bit tumbleweed there, because you think, oh, well, I don't want to be the first one to say something. It might look a bit weird, but if you can see what everyone else is saying, it helps you to engage as well. So get those conversations rolling where possible. Now, let's have a look at the other side of this chart, the more negative side, the attacks and the complaints. So handling negative comments. I have got a blog on my website about this that goes into this in more detail, like a more of a guide on how to do it. But I do want to cover a little bit about this in this session. Here's a good example from only the other week. Someone has tweeted this: waiting for Daisy at Delta to make things right. What is happening, Delta? So imagining this scenario, I presume this person is stuck in an airport or is extremely frustrated about something that's going on related to a flight with Delta. And then the reply that this person got was, can you calm down and allow me some time to work, please? Which I reckon we can all relate to. Of course, we've all felt that way about someone tweeting us or leaving a comment on social media anywhere. But of course, that's not the right way to deal with it. And this would not have had 35,800 likes had it been your standard, so sorry for the wait, Edo, let me just get back to you in, you know, as soon as possible, or whatever. The tone is just not right. And dealing with negative comments is hard. I'm not going to absolutely go to town on saying how wrong that Delta post is. We all know it's wrong. This person's just kind of lost their rag a bit. And I do understand it, because when you're running a really busy brand account, you can get all sorts. It can be quite stressful. It's hard enough being on social media as a person without coming to work and then seeing a whole load of abuse on there. And this is an example from London North East Railway, where they've kind of talked a little bit about the fact that they do get quite a lot of abuse on a daily basis. And the kind of things, they're just so unreasonable, you know? So you always have to protect yourself from negative comments. The first thing to do is just check that you're not massively overwhelmed and stressed. And if you do, you need to step away and either talk to your boss or your client or just yourself and have a half hour to say, look, I need to just step back from it a second and deal with it after. Your own mental health is the most important thing. The second thing you need to do is, hopefully before you get to that point, is really think about the context of this. Perhaps this person is having the worst month of their life and they're just taking it out, and what they see is a logo. You know, they don't see that there's a human behind it. Often there's lots of reasons why people will be abusive. They've just kind of forgotten that there's real people at the end, or they're just so embroiled in their own situation that they haven't even given it any regard, which I don't condone, but you have to just take the person out of it and not take it personally. There is a third category here. There's the people who are just absolute arses. And of course, you just have to console yourself with the fact that not everyone in the world is a good person, and your job involves some nice people and some not nice people. If you are finding that you have some opinions about this, I would love it if you would take our social media professional survey. So we look for anyone who's working with social media for a job, promoting a brand, or maybe you're an influencer, whatever it is. And we are just kind of trying to get a measure of what the experience of being a social media professional looks like in 2022. So we've got some questions there about your stress levels, about the things that you're really proud of. And we would love you to take part in that, please, because we're going to close the survey next week. So please get involved. We'd love to hear from you. So starting with the attack. Dealing with attacks require really excellent comm skills, because human beings are not 100% easy. Like, processes don't work with social media and human beings who are attacking your brand. You can have the best process going, and there will always be something that happens that is the exception to the rule. So sometimes as a brand, you might have activists absolutely send in a barrage of abuse because they believe that your organization is doing something completely contrary to what they believe in. And again, if you don't want to inflame that situation, you've got to use some good judgment. There is, we all know about this kind of culture wars situation that's going on, particularly on social media, where the debate gets so polarized. You're either pro this or anti it. There's no room for nuance. Or sometimes there are these kind of very sneaky characters who it's in their interest to get attention for their topic by riling you up or by drawing attention to something you're doing. There are major issues, something that's going on, like the women's pay gap, for instance, that when we were looking at the International Women's Day, that a lot of people were looking to brands to see if they were being, hypocritical. These issues can affect what's going on and how people interact with you. If they see a sniff of something that they don't believe in, or they think that you're doing wrong, you'll hear about it. And these issues sometimes can turn into a crisis if you handle it wrong, if you are defensive, or if you come back with the wrong comment. Sometimes you might have a brand that's got some disgruntled employees who just want to take revenge on their old bosses. And there's just a zillion things that can be behind someone attacking you. So as you can imagine, there's no pat response that you can have that meet all of these criteria that will help you to deal with all of this. It does take skill. And that is the point about us, those of us who work in social media, communications, marketing. I don't think a lot of people look at us and realize quite how skilled we are and how much judgment and extreme sensitivity it takes to do this thing well. So the first thing I wanted to say is I'm not giving you a guide that will give you all the answers, but I can give you a few tips. The first one is to just check that maybe the attack that you've had isn't as serious as you think, as it feels. Sometimes it can be not that much of a problem. And often I'll see this where a brand has been attacked and it's a really not serious attack. It's just like a little pop at your reputation. And because the person behind the account working for the brand is so stressed and so overworked, so they can take it really personally and they can really deal with it as though it was a serious attack when it's not. So this is a really good example of a not so serious attack. Just, I call it having a pop. So someone has tweeted saying, I saw a bird had crapped on a smart car, totaled it. So, the joke being that the car is not sturdy, that it's tiny, that it's, all the things that people might say about a smart car. So I love how official Smart USA replied to this. This is so old, by the way. This is such an old tweet thread. But I still think it's one of the best replies I've ever seen. So they came back and said, couldn't have been one bird, sounds more like 4.5 million. Seriously, we did the math. And then they've got this little graphic to show the literal amount of poo it would take to knock a car over, a smart car over. And it just shows a little bit of humor and self-awareness. Self-deprecation can be a really useful thing to have in the bag on social media if the attack is not one of a serious nature. You know, there's no issue involved here. There's no punching down. So we've got a lesson on comedy and how you can apply it to your social media. And this is one of the key elements, really, of if you're going to make a funny, then you're going to have to make sure that nobody is the butt of that joke. And this is a really good example of that. So here's another one where someone is having a pop at EE. Targeted marketing doesn't get any shitter or right of the mark than this crap from EE. So basically this person has had some kind of a text or communication from EE, and they felt that this wasn't their taste in music and they didn't like it. It was hardly the end of the world. And it's nothing to get your knickers in a twist about as someone running EE's social media account. And as you can see, they do a really nice job of it. Is hip hop and R&B not your thing? What do you prefer? I have a fairly eclectic mix when it comes to music taste, but Apple Music caters for all. If you prefer not to... Right, Bob has completely empathized with this person and realized what he's saying is maybe that he doesn't like getting this marketing, or maybe he just wants to talk about his music taste. He's given, he's taken a quite safe, solid and lovely, warm approach to responding to this. And there you can see this person isn't actually that vexatious at all. They come back and they give a full description of what the music that they like is. A lot of disco. They like disco, new disco, and a bit more new disco. And he just come back really friendly. There's nothing controversial about this. You don't have to make any, witty, sly jokes. You don't have to be the comedian of the year. You can still make people smile by just being nice and recognizing what they're saying. And you don't have to be over apologetic either. You can just have the chat. The thing to remember about comments, especially when we're talking about negative comments, is they're a spectator sport. So regardless of how serious the comments are, by the way, you want to remember that even if you can't win around the person that you're talking to, you will be seen by lots of other people. Other people in your audience and other people in their audience will begin to see your post surfacing up in their feeds, because we know that's what happens with comments, right? The more comments there are, the bigger the reach. So if you've got a negative issue, you want to make sure that you are your best self on behalf of the brand, because maybe the person you're talking to is very unreasonable. But it doesn't matter. You be generous, be kind, be charming, be all those good things that you on your best behavior, if you're really empathizing with this person and thinking the best of them, be that person and respond to them in that way. And what you'll find is, even if this person does not like it and can't be won over, other people might come in for your defense. And even if they don't, other people will see it and it will reflect really well on your brand. When it comes to more serious stuff, like proper complaints, do try to take it seriously by default, so you can never go wrong with taking it seriously if you feel like there is a proper complaint in there. And this is a really good example from a cake shop. Just going into a lot of detail and being quite generous with it. I think they feel that they have been wrongly called out on social media, and they're happy to go into the detail with that. But they do address some of the things in there, and they seem to be quite apologetic. I'm so sorry that you felt dismissed. That was never our intention, rather the opposite. We are so pleased you found another vendor who could accommodate your needs. We wish you a happy and blessed marriage, most sincerely. Even though I think it was a really bad transaction and something they wish they hadn't happened, they still were generous enough and wanted to wish this person well. And I think this is the way that you deal with anything negative. You always treat them with a lot of respect. And even if you disagree with their point of view or their retelling of the story, you at least wish them as an individual well. One thing that you can think about if you get really badly attacked or really bad a complaint or an issue that seems to be getting out of hand, you can learn from some of the most skilled people in crisis and emergency comms. So my job has involved a great deal of emergencies. I will have helped out with some of the training for people to deal with terrorist attacks, things like emergency crashes when a plane crashes on the site. I've worked on all of these kind of planning campaigns to make sure that we know how to communicate in a crisis. And sometimes it's more reputational, you know, like a CEO has said something sexist or something more like that. So you can learn from this art. And I'm telling you now, again, this is a real specialism that takes a lot of judgment. And there are some great experts out there. I love working on crisis and emergency, I have to say. One thing that I've taken from my training over the years and my experiences, you can't go wrong in emergency or a real big crisis with the pity, promise, praise formula. So let me give you an example of this. If something's gone really badly wrong, an operational mistake has happened, I don't know, let me think. All of the electric has gone out of the whole of Cardiff and people want to know why they're angry and it's possibly unsafe and I'm in charge of the electric for Cardiff, I want to put a statement out. I will always go with a pity, promise, praise formula. Pity is, we are so sorry for all of the inconvenience that people are experiencing right now. We understand that this is frustrating. We are like empathize as much as you can with the people who are affected by this crisis. You'll never go wrong with this. You can take it on a small level. So someone says to me, I bought a cake from your cake shop and it was disgusting. It had rancid cream in it. I will start off with pity, which is, I cannot believe how disgusting that must have been for you to bite into this. We would hate to think of anyone having a horrible cake, and I'm sorry that you didn't get a good one. Start off with pity. Empathize with the person, show that you care about the situation they're in. Then you go to promise. The promise can be anything. It's how you're dealing with the situation. We promise that we are looking into this and we're going to do all we can to fix the situation as soon as possible. This would be good for the electric situation. For the cake thing, we're going to make sure that we check all of the refrigerators in our shop. We're going to make sure this never happens to anybody again. We're going to have fresh cakes only, and you have helped us to get to that point where we know that everything's going to be fresh. So you promise that you're going to take some action. Then you get to the praise. Thank you to those people who are being so patient and helping their community. They are absolute heroes that we really are very grateful for. That could be the electric one, right? So the cake one would be, thank you for letting us know about the cake. We really value your custom so much that we'd like to invite you in because you're so amazing to have, you know, 2 cakes and a coffee. And we'll show you exactly how important you are to us as a cake shop. Pity, promise, praise is a kind of useful formula. It works in lots of circumstances, serious and trivial. That is a whistle-stop tour of comments on social media. There are loads of different other things we can think about. We can think about when you proactively seek to comment on other people's posts. We can think about how you might join community groups, you know, like Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups, and you can start to have conversations there. There are loads of different ways of doing it. We've only really covered when someone comes to you and comments on your posts, but there's so much more to this. Engagement and community management is such a fun social job that we could only cover a little bit here today, but I hope you've got some inspiration and a little bit of fire in your belly to turn those transactions and those passing comments and sometimes those complaints into a good, healthy conversation. Get your process for comments down. You can't make it so that it'll fit every situation, but you can at least build the confidence for you and your team, if you have one, that you've got an idea, a little reference that will help you when things are a bit more difficult. And mainly, get good at chatting. If you're one of those people who, wherever you go, you start a chat with people, you're going to be brilliant at this. If you're not, then you can learn a few little tricks of the kind of things that people like to hear. And essentially, if you don't feel confident at it, just get good at being nice to people and giving them compliments. And you'll find that everything lights up on your social media. And actually, your proactive content gets bigger reach and better engagement because of it. I'd love you to sign up to our big yellow newsletter, which is for people who work in social media. Every week we have content of the week. So we'll pick out a brand post from social media. We'll talk about why it's good, and we'll tell you some tips, like what you can learn from this and apply to your own brand. And there's loads of other inspiration we've got. I do some little doodles and things, and hopefully you'll get lots of pleasure and lots of good chat as a result of signing up to our newsletter as well. And don't forget, we do incredible social media courses. You can join our social media expert course, which runs live twice a year. If you can't make the live lessons, you can catch up on the replays. We've had the most incredible results from over 150 students now who've gone through the course, who all get increases in engagement. But more importantly, they grow their confidence, they grow their creativity, and we love working with people on social media. So you can come and join us there. That's a little look around what we cover in that course: strategy, defining your social media brands, channels, your audiences, content planning, creative formats for your content, copywriting, evaluation, all sorts of stuff. And if you really love us, you can come and join Comms Creatives Academy, where you get a whole year membership. You get to do all of our courses whenever you want to, join all our fun events, get one-to-ones with me, get loads of advice, and most importantly, join a lovely network of brilliant social media and comms and marketing people. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to chatting to you later.